algebraic functions, graphs. Use these in calculus, so these functions, but this is in particular, this is college algebra. Right? I remember taking this. The sine function is here. This, knowing this kind of stuff serves you, and you're learning in calculus later on. I think that you could look at these graphs and relate to them, or you can use them to explain people's lives and careers. I think you could absolutely do that. And that changes your understanding, your interpretation of math, or rather your relationship with math. And it might even help you remember, memorize these functions. Yeah, dig. Like for instance, if you look at the sine function is pretty much like where a lot of people are in their lives. There might be an increase in some point, so there's a rise where they are earning money, but then when they hit a certain level, then maybe they get unemployed. They lose their job, and then they fall all the way down until they find another job, and then they're back on their feet, and then they're working to get back to where they were before, and then maybe tragedy strikes again, and then you just have this back and forth. But they never really get out of their habits, their life. They just go back and forth, and that could even be on a monthly basis, living paycheck to paycheck, or it could be on an annual, or it could be a decade-long sort of pattern. But that looks like someone's life pattern right there, going back and forth, back and forth. You dig? I would say the exponential function represents Nipsey Hussle. Slow grinding and slow moving until some point he starts picking up speed and then gets more traction and more attention. Sadly, he is killed, and then his popularity skyrockets exponentially and into the future, and then it just goes up. Marathon continues. And then there's one, let me see. I was just looking at it. Yes, this is Eric Benet. I'm not a fan of Eric Benet. I just know a little bit about his story and the situation with Halle Berry. He cheated on her, right? So let's say Eric Benet was growing from the bottom, growing in popularity and so forth and so on, to some point he reached the plateau where he's remained, and he probably is just doing shows these days. And if that's the case, then probably life is good for him because he's just maintaining that, lifestyle, but he's not making any radical moves, and he's not, growing exponentially in popularity and fame or wealth. He's just, right there. Everyone knows him. Oh, that's Eric Benet. Oh yeah, we know him. Oh, he's doing a show again. Yeah, okay. He's just keeping it regular. And then these others can be interpreted. You can use some other interpretation for these as well. But I'm gonna just stop this video and leave it at that. But you could certainly, I think the squaring function is Robert Downey Jr. and Rob Lowe. They had scandals. So at one time they were famous, which represents, the top, and then they came down. They hit rock bottom, but then they were able to bounce back. Sure, it took some time, but they were able to bounce back and regain their celebrity. So you see Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man and movies and so forth. And then you have Rob Lowe, who's back, and he came back from his sex scandal. So Rob Lowe had a sex scandal, which brought him to the bottom. And then Robert Downey Jr. hit the bottom, taking drugs and all that other type of stuff. The squaring function also relates to not Demi Moore, but Drew Barrymore. All right, that's my little analysis there. Little creative thingamajig. Peace and blessings.